Hello and welcome to today's action-packed edition of the Locker Room on Voice of the People TV. I am Jerry High, and we are about to dive deep into the football world with some insightful analysis. Joining me today are the one and only Ikechukwu and, of course, Coach Dan Kalki, the former national under-13 and under-15 coach who has trained the likes of Taiwo Awoni, Eze Chidera, and Dennis Bonaventure. He's currently a scout and technical sports writer. Coach Uni is ready to drop some knowledge on the latest football action. All right, get ready for the most exciting football talk, hot takes, and a deep dive into the action. And don't forget, stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and you can also call in via the WhatsApp number scrolling under your screen to join the conversation. And of course, it promises to be exciting. I also expect you to drop your comment as Nigerians all over the world react to that draw against the Warriors of Zimbabwe. It was a bad day at the office. I also saw the video of Victor Osimhen, who was not happy with the performance of the boys. They lost concentration the last 10 minutes of that game. And since then, a lot of reactions have come in left, right, and center. And that is why we had to bring in an expert who understands coaching. Because sometimes it's not good to just say things from your own point of view. You have to also look at it from an expert point of view. And of course, you can see Victor Osimhen. He gave his all, his sweat, tears, and blood to secure 6 points in 2 games, but the players had a different plan, and they cut it down to just 4 points. He scored 3 goals. He did what every striker should do, but the defenders needed to defend well the last minute, but that did not happen. The man is not happy. Kechku, what a game, what a day it was for the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Good evening, Jerry.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening to our viewers. Jerry, this is one of those games where you look back and start thinking, where did you get it wrong? I recall that a few days before the very first game, I was screaming that this is going to be our biggest game, not the Rwanda game. The Super Eagles know how to turn up exactly when to turn up when they have a big opponent, when they see you as a big fight. The Super Eagles will appear like that big team whenever a big team is around. Now, when they see that this team is a little below them at any level, you see that complacency comes in, and I don't know what to make of it. It's one of those things that actually affected us a couple of years ago. Remember France '98? We were actually supposed to play Brazil if we defeat Denmark, and the Super Eagles were actually dreaming of Brazil because we defeated them in Atlanta, and then Denmark actually dealt with us in that particular game, and that was how I woke up. Hope was crushed. Again, the same thing happened yesterday, and it was so sad. Look at Victor Osimhen looking very frustrated. He gave his all, like you said, but then, like they always say, a tree can never make a forest. The boys also gave a good account of themselves, but I must say that what happened yesterday is largely a team play, a team error, rather than just one man problem, Jerry.
All right, and of course, we also have Coach with us, Coach Dan Kalki. He is a former national under-13 and under-15 coach. He has trained with the likes of Taiwo Awoni and as well as Dennis Bonaventure and Chidera Eze. Good afternoon. Great to have you join us on Locker Room this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on the show.
Okay, we want to start off with taking a look at former Nigerian national team coach, talking about Johannes Bonfrère, has expressed his disappointment over the Super Eagles' failure to win yesterday against the Warriors of Zimbabwe. Bonfrère, we all know his antecedents, and you saw that game yesterday. What really went wrong for the Super Eagles in your assessment of what happened in yesterday's match? What really went wrong?
Game they prepared, they wanted Rwanda, and we strike the first balance from a set piece, and we kept on repeating those set pieces, and we got the first goal. And from third brilliance, Osimhen got the second goal. And coming into the second game against Zimbabwe, we still tried those techniques and it didn't work. And look at the mix of the team. It was Iwobi and Indidi in the midfield. And they were the link between the defense and attack. For the first 15 minutes, Moses Simon, Chukwueze were trying to crosses, they were not connected. And I expected the coach to make changes, information. If there's a situation where we can attack from the midfield, which is the weakest link in the team right now, and that was missing. So he kept on with that strategy, going, and nothing changed till 75, 76 minutes across from Mainad and Victor Osimhen got the goal. But they relaxed there. The kind of attackers he used in that game, Boniface, Tolu, didn't add much bite. And the defense line were suspects. Uh, Cruz, Ekon, and Calvin Basti didn't do a yeoman's job, allowing lots of concentration and conceding that goal. So it was a clear act of blaming the coach, and the defense line didn't do well for me.
All right, the defense line went to sleep. And some have even said that it looked like the game plan of the coach of the Zimbabwe Warriors national team. They did the same thing, a similar thing against Benin Republic. They were 2-0 down. They came back and won and drew that game. The same pattern was applied in the game against the Super Eagles. They soaked up the pressure. When they conceded, they knew what to do at the dying minute of the game. They kept on pushing and got a draw. Is it that the technical team, part of the Super Eagles, did not know that this was most especially always the game plan of the Zimbabwe national team and prepare for a dying minute situation where they might likely want to come back? Is it that they did not do their homework properly on the part of the Super Eagles handlers?
I think, first of all, I kept saying that Eric Taylor was bit busy with his tactics. No, tactics is dynamic. Tactics can change within 15, 30, 45 minutes of the first half. He could have made strategic changes in the game. And I feel he was relaxed. He was over carried and he was overconfident at the same time. He felt that the Zimbabweans were put over because we had ball stars. You could see in that game, uh, Africa's best player, Ademola Lookman, was not in the game. He played behind Victor Osimhen and he didn't make any viable impact. I expected Charlie to have that boldness of making a change in the second half, bringing a very good striker. Maybe that could have given us a balance in the box to get more goals. But we didn't do that. I just feel he has so much respect for these players. He doesn't have full control of making bold changes. I think,
For the team.
yes, I strongly believe that because the players not performing well, even at a point, Ndidi was tired in that game. Good remove him. Ademola Lookman was missing. He had to take 55 to 60 minutes for him to bring out Chukwueze. So it's something that we don't understand, and I hope the we don't understand, and I hope the federation comes to a solution, get someone that is bigger than all these players and that can take bold decisions.
Okay. Are you already writing off Eric Chell in terms of going forward with the team, coach?
Yes, for me, I think there's a problem because if you look at his selection from the beginning, his provincial league cutting out players like Frank Onyeka missing, players like Christian Fute, who has been bossing the midfield for Getafe, all missing. So these are something, and we know the midfield has been the weakest link for the Super Eagles, and nothing has been done about it. And we understand that after he submitted his case, the NFF vet released minus some names, added some names. So it's a very dicey situation now. It seems he's got there to decorate his TV, and he's being remote controlled. He's not total control of the team.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, Simon Kalika, the Dutchman who assisted Samson Siasia during Nigeria's campaign at the 2005 FIFA World Cup in the Netherlands, has described the Super Eagles' draw against Zimbabwe as disgraceful. And in trying to understand what went wrong for the West African Giants, whom he ranks among the top 5 teams in the world, Kalika criticized the Nigerian Football Federation over his choice of coach for the Super Eagles. And when reminded that the NFF's reluctance to consider Siasia for the Super Eagles job could be due to his past FIFA suspension, Kalika dismissed the reasoning, and at the very least, the NFF should have called him, held talks with him, and understood the real situation. Now, Kalika, we know he worked with Samson Siasia. He said losing was disgraceful, and he said that he was not happy with the choice of the coach. What do you think about this?
Of course, the choice of the coach, if you look at his past record, yeah, he had a different role with the Malian national team. But on the long run, looking at the players we have, looking at the synergy that we want to move forward, I think Kalika has a strong piece. Chelly might not really be the man. He's just there to fulfill all righteousness for the NFL official and a couple of agents that brought him there. But for me, what I saw from Chelly, especially the Zimbabwe match, I think he gave himself up. He failed to make those bold changes, and anybody that knows football, any coach that knows and understands football, he knows that he was supposed to make tactical changes and specific player changes immediately when the game was not flowing in its own pattern.
But he was able to make the change by bringing Tolu, who actually put more pressure on the attack and which led to the goal. What do you have to say about that?
For me, you think bringing Tolu, playing in a diamond form with Lukman was not really effective because you find out Tolu and Osimhen were running on the same line. So it could have been better he brought out Lukman and brought in Tolu so that the Osimhen will be Tolu will be playing behind Osimhen. So like in the fourth 8 or fourth 9, they'll be rotating together. But as you rightly said, Tolu made some mistakes, but I felt Lukman wasn't really effective in that game. So it could have been that substitution.
Okay, Coach, to hold you on there, let me go to Ikechukwu here with me here in the studio. You've heard from Bonfrère Joe, he was not happy, and we also have heard from Kalika, and of course, Coach, who is with us virtually, has said a lot of things about the coaching of the team. He made mention of bold choices. Did you really see those making bold decisions being one of the issues? Maybe over too much respect, having too much respect for the players did not allow him to make bold decisions?
Well, I'm not really going to say it's actually a case of too much respect, for the boys. I think it's largely a case of him. I think the whole issue of complacency also affected the coach. You've won a game away from home, the table toppers, you defeated them. Now you're at home. You believe the same set of guys to prosecute the game. Now, while the game was running, right? I will agree with the coach when he was talking about Tolu Arokodare's entrance into that particular game. Truth be told, right? I was saying, we were having that conversation here in the studio, I was saying I would have expected somebody else. Osimhen and Arokodare are like-for-like strikers. You don't throw them into the mix like that. You can take out Samuel Chukwueze, because our problem in that game, in that attack, was the wing. Those guys have managed to cut off the wing that are supposed to actually feed the guys up front. Now, what do you have to do to twist them? You have to force them to start concentrating in the middle so that the wingers can actually fly. How will you do that? You need another man who can actually run with the ball in the middle. That's why I was talking about Victor Boniface in that particular game. If Victor Boniface has entered into that game, it would have been a very different ball game, right? If you take out Moses Simon,
I didn't see anything special. There was nothing special about Victor Boniface entry in that game.
Because at the time Victor Boniface actually got into that game, the game was already lost. Forget the fact that Super Eagles were...
The Eagles were still in the game.
We were not controlling the game. There's one thing for you to be winning, and the other thing for you to be controlling the game.
Do you think Victor Boniface was the player we needed at the time he was brought in?
Now, even if you're not bringing Victor Boniface in, right, what you would have done, there's a Chukwueze who can actually hold on to the ball very well. There's a Ademola Lookman who you can actually push as a second striker, let him play way behind Victor Osimhen and let free up Moses Simon, or push Moses Simon into that particular spot, or even bring in Frank Onyeka and push Alex Iwobi up front. You need somebody who can actually hold on to the ball so that the pressure will now be concentrated in the middle. The wingers can actually be free. The wingers were locked. They were most of the time you saw wingers moving to the byline.
What about the defense? Because even the midfield was actually, I think the attack, maybe he did well. Coach, I don't know. Taking a look at what Kechukwu is saying, attack-wise, I don't think we're having so much issues. But you made mention of the midfield, which I acknowledge. He made the midfield so weak and penetrable for the Zimbabweans. I don't know whether the coach sees it from that perspective, because you made mention of Wilfred Ndidi. He was tired at a point, but he was still left on the pitch.
Yes, that's it. That's a fact. And when we talk about goal changes and someone to come in, I could have expected Oyedika to replace Ndidi, because when we lost that ball from the midfield, the recovery rate of Ndidi to cover the pullback was missing. That's how they got the right. So it's a strong case that we lost that game from the midfield.
Okay, let's now take the words of Eric Chell in the post-match interview of that game. What he had to say. He expressed the disappointment following the team's draw against Zimbabwe at the World Cup qualifier. Now, despite taking the lead in the game, the three-time African champions failed to secure all the 3 points. We hear from talking about Coach Eric Chell.
It's hard because my team was the best on the pitch, with the position ball, with the fast attack. So just he missed some goals, and I'm so disappointed for my player, for the country, because we can't do it. I don't know the other game. I think we can go to looking for the second place. So, but the game like that, it's crazy. So my job is to analyze this game, and I think the team improve in intensity, in aggressivity with the ball. They made fast attack. They made a long possession ball. They deserve the win.
Eric Shaw there, he wasn't sounding confident at all. I think he even lost the vibe. You could see that the man was already down. The explanations were not even enough because he knew that they really messed up. The player, Coach Amadou Shaibu, God bless his soul, he was a great coach. When we're in these situations, he was the one that was always coming to rescue the Super Eagles. But we don't have coaches like that anymore. Even at a point, Keshi was the man. But fortunately, we don't have those kind of coaches. Coach, I know you will remember Amadou Shaibu, but these days we have to seek the coaches like Eric Chell, who many Nigerians did not really fancy. And he won the game that could keep a lot of Nigerians hoping, and lost the game we should be winning. But we also have it on good authority that at home, mostly these days, when it comes to qualifiers like the World Cup qualifiers, we've been unable to win games at home. Coach, what is the problem with winning home games, most recently in the World Cup qualifiers, most recently?
Well, for the past, I think after we lost our World Cup qualifiers against Ghana in the double leg, I think you mentioned it earlier, we are struggling at home significantly. And part of it, I think it's a bit psychological. A lot of people recommend that we're supposed to go to a very vibrant ground where fans are a bit active. You agree with me that the Aqua Ibom Stadium, is a bit docile, fans are not aggressive. And a lot of people believe that if we can take matches to Lagos, where there's a large fan base, or probably Kano, where there's a large followership of footballers who can shout all day and cheer the team, it might be a key factor. So I think on the long run, Akwa Ibom Stadium has not been that robust in fan excitement and fan followership. Even though, yeah, the stadium yesterday was full, but you couldn't hear that cheer from that aggressive cheer that we hear in the past. So I think it's a problem that the NFL have to look out for. Picking a location that will be aggressive, that could intimidate the opponent, might be a key factor in winning game.
All right, assessing what director is contenance, and does this mark confidence going into the rest of the qualifiers? Taking a look at what's going on so far, so good.
I think what you said is finishing second might be a good chance, but you look at if we don't accumulate much points, we cannot finish among the best losers. Already we are on 7 points. While look at other groups, second place teams are on 10, 11, 12. So it's a big task. And if we're looking at finishing as best losers, I think it's a big task ahead. We have to win our remaining 5 to 6 games and finish with probably 22 points, which for me, if we continue this selection, lack of boldness in substitution, it might not be a visible progress for us to reach out. So there has to be a holistic change for us to finish as best losers. Because already I think from what he said, he has considered everything to the first position, which is probably South Africa.
Yeah, already conceding the first position. That's very interesting. Okay, let's look at the results we've had. Okay, we have a caller. All right, let's take our first call. Taurid.
Hello, good morning. I mean, good afternoon.
Taurid, good afternoon from Nigeria to Chicago.
I've been listening to what the first caller has been said and what you guys are saying too. You know, if you look at it, in Nigerian team, we have problem of midfield. I'll say it and over and over and over. Something still tell me that all the coaches that we have been hiring, they don't.
Hello, Taurid, are you with us? Oh, Taurid, do call us back. We would like to have you finish up your comment. You can also call in from wherever you're watching us. You can also drop your comments on the comment section. We'll be taking comments as the show progresses. And of course, Coach is still with us, assessing the situation. Coach, what is the way forward? What is the way forward with the way things are going?
The way forward, I think mathematical.
No, let's go ahead with the coach. Let's go ahead with the coach. All right, Coach, go ahead.
So I think we have a mathematical chance. But as I can say, we have to really look at the midfield. We have to make robust changes. And I mentioned the likes of Frank Bonetta, Christian Tutu. If you watch him, you know that he's someone that has a very hard work rate. He's creative and he's a man of steel that can bring something into the midfield of the Super Eagles. Then the coach again need to take another robust decision by taking Iwobi to the side because logically when he plays for Fulham, he plays from the flank. So bringing him to the national team and putting him in the midfield, I think he's running a divergent. So that is part of the problem too.
Hmm.
So we need to have natural midfielders that play in that central position that can give skill and creativity to the midfield and support the attack. So if this is done with the right selection and with the right tactics and changes, which has to do with the constitution in games, I think we'll go far.
Wow. Okay. And let's look at the assessment of our last performances at home. And it's not really been a good result. If you take a look at it, since the last time we lost to South Africa under Genotro, we brought in, we played a draw 4-4 against Sierra Leone. We went on at home again. We lost by a goal to nil at home. We played Ghana in Abuja. That was under Guavon. We played 1-1, and Guinea-Bissau we lost during Pesero's time. I think it was the AFCON qualifier. Lesotho we played the draw with Pesero in Uyo. South Africa we played the draw under Finidi George, and against Rwanda that was Guavon's time as well. We lost 2-1. And that was the AFCON qualifier. And now with Zimbabwe under Eric Chell, we played 1-1. It looks like there's something wrong with playing home games. What is the problem?
I don't want to think it's actually peculiar to home games. I want to look at the Super Eagles in totality and how we've been faring, even away. It's not like we've been having it smooth, away. The fact that we've managed to actually be going to this tournament shows that we really have a crop of players that can actually hold their own on the higher stage. But the truth is, the Super Eagles have really been struggling. It goes back to tell us about how structured our team is, how structured the organization, people handling football generally is. Coach was mentioning something. I was talking about the midfield, talking about Uche Crisantos and other players that is expected to be part of the team. You see, this is not a time to actually cry to be crying out over a spilled milk. This is the time to actually look at the team that we have and what can we actually make out of this team. I tell you the truth, with the quality of player we still have at this point, even though we expect the likes of Frank Onyeka to be part of it, these ones are actually executing this double header. There's no reason we shouldn't be winning both. I mean, Rwanda is way better than Zimbabwe in this particular round of qualifying, and it showed they are way above even the Super Eagles. And then how can we beat in Rwanda right there at the backyard and then struggle against Zimbabwe? Even if we're going to be playing Zimbabwe away from home as well, we're supposed to. It's a game we're expected to win. Now, here's the problem: the coach actually slept in this particular game against Rwanda. All eyes was on him. He knew how important it was. The stake was high. The boys know that this is a make or mark game. They actually all turned up. This particular game against Rwanda, right? After the first half, it was obvious that the Super Eagles were actually very struggling, from the flank. We kept saying it here that you have to do something about it. You have to make sure the flank is free. Chukwueze has to be very much involved in the game. They've seen how slick the guy is. They knew how important he was in that last game, even though he barely touched the ball. But his presence was very effective. Now he played to instruction. At this point in time, I was expecting the coach to actually do something else. Now Alex Iwobi. Every single time I see a coach play Alex Iwobi deep, it gives me heartache. Alex Iwobi has no business to be playing that deep. Push him up forward, give him opportunity to actually rove. If we have somebody that's actually giving the Zimbabweans problem in the middle of the park, there's no way our midfielders will not, our wingers will not have space to actually operate. It is because there is no major activities going on in the middle of the park. That's why they have they have the holiday to actually pin Samuel Chukwueze and Moses Simon down. Now, playing Ademola Lookman as a second striker is not what he's used to. This is a very crucial game. I mean, Eric Charles, one of the thing he said before the game, and report that was coming out from the Super Eagles camp, was that he's going to be playing the boys in their preferred position from their club, so that it's going to really make his work easy for him. Why are you now playing this guy? Now, it goes back to what the coach was saying earlier on, that perhaps he's afraid of making a big call. If it means Moses Simon sitting on the bench for Ademola Lookman to actually play from that wing, let that happen. I mean, I don't have issues with him coming up into the game later, replacing Ademola Lookman if he feels tired, or if there's a need to actually add in, inject another energy. But start with the best leg. He actually did it in Rwanda. It actually worked because he kept changing formation. But this particular game, the Super Eagles seem to be very static. Again, the coach we are up against in this last game is a very experienced coach. Arguably one of the most experienced in that group. He's been to the World Cup with not just an ordinary nation, one of the powerhouses when it comes to football, England, in 2006 World Cup. He was part of their backroom staff. So he understands the game more than every other coach in this group at this point. So you understand, he saw the Super Eagles, he knew our strength, and he played, against our weakness, which is, our weakness in that game, obviously, was that, one, we failed to recover the second ball. The way we played against Rwanda, it was clear that we were hungry, we want to win all loose balls. In this particular game, we gave the Zimbabweans opportunities to actually play. Bright Osai Samuel's position was actually exposed. That was where they actually, gained access from. In the first leg against Rwanda, if you recall, Samuel Chukwueze's presence made it difficult for Rwanda to actually move forward. As soon as these guys started looking for their goal, it was difficult for Super Eagles to actually start chasing. Perhaps we felt that they are not going to score because they haven't had enough chance. If you remember, we were even lucky to even escape the ball that hit the crossbar. That would have been a goal, and then perhaps maybe this conversation of going to the World Cup, to even be having it again.
Okay, let's take a look at the table right now, and the way the table looks. The Super Eagles, after two more games, they still retain their number 4 position, meaning that we did not make any move from that position. We just played part of the qualifiers and still remain in the position we were prior to when we're going to play Rwanda and Zimbabwe, meaning that there's no changes. And if you look at the table quietly, we are 7 points, and we still have how many games to go? About 3 or 4 games to go. And South Africa, there's a petition against them. Even though they lose that 3 points and 3 goals, they still sit pretty on the top of the table with 10 points. And coach, taking a look at the table now, can you tell Nigerians if we have any chance of making it to the World Cup?
I still hold my reservations. If things don't change, we might not go anywhere. But we're on 4th position, and if that petition holds against South Africa, Lesotho will progress. So we'll be on 5th position at the end of the day. So if you look at that position, calculative wise, our chances are very, very slim. At this point, I don't think 4 matches remaining. If we can win all the 4 matches, 12 points plus 7, that's 19 points. Probably we can get a best score, but things have to change.
I mean, even automatically Lesotho will now have a chance because they will now be on 9 points.
Yes.
Wow. And if Lesotho is on 9 points, the Super Eagles drop to the 5th position with their 7 points. And even if we beat the South Africans and Lesotho win their next game, they might even be on top of the table. That is how interesting it is. Okay, the assessment is really funny, but it is what it is. Anyway, the Zimbabweans have been excited. They have been the joy killers. And no matter what still happens, Zimbabwe qualifying ratio is 1 to 1,000. And anyway, their coach was laughing, and even some Nigerians were not even happy with this. But it looks like they're just happy with just being spoilers. So far, so good.
I mean, you see, games like this, right? Oppositions, players who are actually from these sort of countries, or if you look at it on the club level, you see them as players who actually just want to sell themselves, right?
Yeah.
The captain, Masha Mutseni, the guy that scored the goal, Chawara, in that particular game, Huddersfield, the club side were celebrating him. Because yes, the whole world was actually watching. The eyes of the world was actually on that particular game, and he scored against Nigeria. Everybody wants to know who this guy is, right? And now it's opened doors for scouts to start looking at him. Perhaps some of them might have started going back to some of his games and see how effective. Perhaps it's not good enough to even be there. He should move a level higher. These sort of things is exactly what inspire players going into big games. A game like this that they know that, okay, fine, we might not win it, but then let's give our all because we don't know where this game is going to actually take us to. And that's exactly what they got. For me, it's all 3 points for them, and for Nigeria, it's a loss.
All right, Nigeria is a loss. Okay, we have the video of the coach of the press conference of the coach telling Nigerians, and of course, showing some bit of excitement, even though they got a draw. The draw is more like a win for Zimbabwe, whether they like it or not. Talking about the coach of Zimbabwe, Nice, talking about the performance of their boys against the Super Eagles.
Football is emotions. 30,000 people, I don't know how many people were today, 25, 30,000, but none of the coaches were sent to the stage. Nobody got a yellow card, nothing. So it couldn't be that dramatic as it looked, but look, we knew when things don't go that well, that the players will fall, and maybe with the public pressure that the referee is going to give in. And in a 50-50 decision. I think the referees did really, they resisted all the pressure. And I couldn't see any major mistakes. Yeah? Apart from what's going, what do we talk? Okay. From that, I think no coach was sent off, no yellow cards given, so it couldn't be that dramatic. Let me be honest, people didn't believe it, but we came here, we wanted to win. Of course, we cannot come here and think we can outplay Nigeria first minute until the end. But the game evolved as we anticipated. And we knew when things don't go 100%, Nigeria will panic, and the pressure is definitely much more on Nigeria. Yeah. And there was also your captain said we can forget about getting a result here. So it all motivated us, but we are not playing, we are playing, we want to improve as a team. And I said more, the World Cup qualification, if it was for us over, then it was also for Nigeria over. As long as you're laughing, how many points you have? Football is emotions. 30,000 people, I don't know how many people were today, 25, 30,000, but none of the coaches were sent.
The coach of the Zimbabwe national team talking about Nice and saying it was a 50-50 situation. I don't blame him. Had it been they lost the game, he wouldn't be saying 50-50. Coach, we've heard from the Zimbabwe national team coach, and taking a look at how porous the table is. Even Lesotho, if they're giving that 3 points, they stand even a better chance than the Super Eagles. Hello, Coach. Are you with us?
Yeah. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Lesotho at the moment, for me, yes, he has a better chance. Even though they will be still playing South Africa, they're in the same region, and I really want to watch that game because it's going to be a very dogged game. And let's not forget, I think Lesotho, Zimbabwe, their adopted homes are all in South Africa because their stadiums were not approved by CAF. So it's going to be a very fierce encounter. And I think at this point, they're giving it all to South Africa. But at the same time, we can't write off these people. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can write up Lesotho. So let's watch. But as I said, it's going to be a very difficult one for Nigeria. But I think Lesotho has a big advantage because if the protest points are given to them, I think they are on course of nicking a best loser spot ahead of Nigeria.
The best loser sports. Wow, very interesting.
Because that is what we're running after now. Because as it stands now, we don't have a chance to catch up with South Africa. We have lost so many points. We just have to just settle for the second position and have a chance for the best loser spot.
All right, fight for the best loser sports. And of course, following a convincing victory over Benin, Bafana head coach Hugo Bruce is setting his sights on World Cup qualification. And you wouldn't blame him. The former African champion secured this 2-0 victory against Benin Republic in Ivory Coast on Tuesday, maintaining their lead at the top of the group. We expected Genotro to do the job, but the man couldn't deliver. Is it that he didn't have the quality in terms of the players for Benin team? Well, he defeated the Eagles by 2-1. What happened to South Africa?
Well, I don't know why you are actually looking at Genotro, but you know South Africa is a well structured team. I give it to them. I think
most of the players play home.
Yes,
home-based team.
I mean they have arguably the best league in Africa at this point. I mean the last 5 years they've been pushing and they've been pulling their weight in the CAF Champions League. So it tells you how much of a structure they have going for them. If you want to know how good they are, you look back to that Egyptian side that did the treble in Nations Cup between 2006 and 2010, 2006, 2008, 2010. That Egyptian side that won the Nations Cup. I mean, the crux of that players are actually playing, in their local league, and that was the peak of the power of the likes of Mohamed Abutreka, Osifati. These guys were actually playing in the Egyptian league, and they were dominating Africa, both at club and national team level. Exactly what we are seeing in South Africa. Even though they are yet to win the Nations Cup, but they've shown that yes, they have a league, and if South Africa continue the way they're going, it's just a matter of time they are going to actually win the Nations Cup with this structure they have. Trust me, that's exactly how strong or how beautiful the structure or what they've been able to put in place in a couple of years have been. And yes, Hugo Bruce is in a very comfortable position, so he can afford to actually eye the World Cup spot and say whatever it is that he likes. Like they always say, the absence of games at the end of the day. South Africa is 10 points, Nigeria is 7 points. If they rule the 3 points against them, they're going to be 10 points. So in that last game against South Africa, if Nigeria finally managed to beat South Africa in South Africa, head-to-head, Nigeria is going through to the World Cup. So yes,
Lesotho win their games too.
Nigeria is definitely still going to play Lesotho. So we can fancy our chance. No, yes, we can fancy our chance against Lesotho. But South Africa, I've always said it that the most structured team in this group is South Africa. I also said it that the most difficult game in this group that we're going to play from these two games is Zimbabwe because of the experience of their coach. Again, it has played out. Now, South Africa and Lesotho are the two sides that perhaps, if Lesotho gets that favor, it's going to be these two sides that we're going to be eyeing. And I fancy the Super Eagles is going to do the job. But our biggest headache is going to be in South Africa. The coach also mentioned something very important. South Africa, Lesotho is actually a country inside South Africa. Just like we have, let's say Lagos is a country inside.
They're playing their games in South Africa.
Yes, they're a country inside South Africa.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to be a very interesting game between South Africa and Lesotho, and all this whole permutation. They can actually, work in hand and say, you know what? I mean, we are still one. Let's give it up for you guys to go. So all of these things, we put ourselves in this very bad situation. I just hope we can find a way to come on.
All right, coach, we have to let you go, but before I let you go, will the Super Eagles qualify, and should Eric Chell still be in charge?
It's a big that big call. It shouldn't come from me, but I think the synergy we saw in the first game, and they giving him a first hand, giving him a free hand. I think he has a chance of steadying the Super Eagles ship, but he needs to take more risk by bringing fresher legs and rookie players to at least stabilize the team. Because I just feel that there's some players in the Super Eagles that are just too comfortable. They don't have other players pressuring them for their shirts. And if he can stamp his feet on taking such decisions, I think he has a good chance of stabilizing the team and and making himself proud and making Nigerians proud. And that will make people root for him, and he might stay for a long time if that is done.
All right, thank you very much, Coach, for being a
Yeah, it's a
part
pleasure.
of Locker Room. We'll surely want to invite you once again to take a look at so many other things.
It's a pleasure. Thank
Right.
you.
Okay. And of course, because of time, let's take some comments on the YouTube page where we're having comments. And Lugbenga Bamidele says that when will Super Eagles play mass defense and mass attack again to scale through African zone? Since Super Eagles drew with Sierra Leone 4-4 in Niger, the same step of players are still midfielders. The midfielders have these local coaches are just okay. He said they're hypocrites and liars. And since this qualifier started, Chell is the only coach that has amassed more than 2 points in the games played. NFF is the problem. Won't be here today. Even that match, NFF messed up by not playing politics. Our players only trained once before the match. He also said that players who only trained once. Okay. Slinio Moses says that is there any chance for Nigeria qualifying in the World Cup? You heard it from Coach Dan. He said his own, and I think I followed through with what he said. He said, Stephen Okoro says, I think it's unfair to write Coach Eric Chell off at this point after just 2 games. Okay. Luke Benga said FIFA should disband that group. Let's start all over again. Why should all the team go play the remaining games in South Africa? I think it's undue advantage. If you have 2 teams in that same group all playing their games, home games in South Africa, I think something needs to be done about that. That's really wrong, because South Africa is an interested party to not be hosting home games for teams who want to qualify in the World Cup in the same group. I think it's an undue advantage for South Africa, and everything is looking like for South Africa to qualify.
Who is the CAF president?
Patrice Motsepe. But FIFA is not run by South Africa, and they should be able to do something about it.
But of course, you know, they can't have influence. I mean, this is Africa. This is how we are going
It's
to.
really, it's not good. It's not good.
Yes,
It's not good.
we can say all of this because we've lost our game. If we had won our game, if we had won our game, all these things will not even be important to us. This is what it is. We have to do our own job first before looking outside.
All right, we're pressed for time. We have to wrap it up. Okay. Thank you very much, Kechuku, and of course, big thanks to all those who dropped their comments, and Tarid, who also called in, and all those who joined us today. Big thanks to the guys behind the scene, talking about Leto Silva, Victor, Ikechukwu, Paul, and of course, Alice. My name is Jerry Apelo. I'm saying stay safe, and if not waiting at all, tweet the sports.